Hello, my booktube fan. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, let's talk about The Women by Kristin Hannah. Truth be told, this is my very first pick from the author. However, I have seen her books all over the internet. This is one of those books that stays with you long after you turn the last page. I think Kristin Hannah is already known for her powerful historical fiction, like I think The Nightingale, Four Winds, and The Women is no exception. At least from all the reviews that I have seen in Goodreads, I think I can safely say that. This time, she takes us into the Vietnam War era, but from the perspective that's often overlooked. That is, the experience of female nurses who served during the war. This book gives you the idea that, if anybody have told you during the war, during the times that were no women during the Vietnam War, that is false, that is a lie. So yeah, the story follows Frances McGrath, a young woman from a very privileged background who, like many in her generation, wants to make a difference. I think the major story, definitely this is the initial phase where we follow her right from the get-go in that Coronado Island, where her brother's friend Rai says, I think this is 1960s Francis. Women can be heroes of their own story. I think that stays with her when he says that, and I think from there it's no looking back. And after, I think she is 20 years old, RN nurse, and she decides to enlist as an army nurse and is sent to Vietnam, where her brother was also, you know, gone as a veteran. Now, what really is compelling about Frances' journey is how unprepared she is, and the people around her as well. She's just 20 years old, freshly out of nursing school, and now she is going to, Vietnam. And they really don't know what they are facing. The horror of war, the friendships she forms, especially with the nurses, Barb and Ethel, that's so pure. The loss and the resilience she builds or shape her in ways I think she have never expected. I think that it's beautifully written. Kristin Hannah does this amazing job of making you feel like you are right there with Frankie. I can say, at least for myself, from the very first phase, I was with Frances. I was very much invested in her story. From the that part is itself, from the time when she and Rai were talking in that heroes talking scene at that heroes wall, I was so much invested in her story already. Whether she is in the chaos of a makeshift hospital in Vietnam or struggling to find her place back home after the war. I think one of the most heartbreaking yet important aspect of this book is how it highlights the way female veterans were treated when they returned. I think this is a major plot of the book. Unlike their male counterparts, they were often dismissed, their services often ignored, and they had to fight just to be recognized. Now, when I think of it, it feels so horrible to face that situation after serving for 14 to 16 hours per day in that horrific situations. When you return back home, you are not appreciated and acknowledged, not only by the civilians but also by your family itself, by your dad and mom. I think the moment when she returned home and the reaction of her father was really heartbreaking. The way he just shoved her off and just neglected her any contribution to help in the Vietnam War, the people, the situation. It was really heartbreaking. I think all she wanted to do was make her parents proud, just like how proud they would have been of Finlay, her brother's achievement. I think That just shows how women were treated back in 1960s, and it is really really heartbreaking to see. And the writing was definitely emotional and immersive. This is, I think, just classic Kristin Hannah. She has a way of making historical fiction feel very deeply personal. The friendship in the book, like I already said, Barb and Ethel especially, I think it was phenomenal. I think they have just helped her heal like no other, especially Barb, when she had to face so many problems of her own. The friendship in what has, added a layer of warmth and sisterhood that balances out the brutality of war. And now I also want to talk about different men in her life, how they impacted her life. If I start, I would like to talk about her brother Finley, her best friend, her brother. I think he was also a major. He also has played a major role for Frances to have this courage to go to Vietnam, because she thought I would also be in Vietnam where my brother is, and maybe there would be chances where we could meet often. I don't know, just feeling to be in the same country as your brother, because he is your best friend and you are really close to him. I think that does something. But then again, when she gets the news of her brother being no more and not even having his body to bury, it was heart wrenching. you know Even after that, she chose to go to Vietnam, and after that, it was no looking back. She became a wonderful woman, I would say. Especially nurse, how she learned slowly and steadily and became more courageous day after day and became so selfless in her service. That was worth appreciating. Coming back to the men in her life, I think the first love, I think the person who gave her the sense of love is Jamie for me. I think she also describes the feeling that she have for Jamie is, it feels pure. But you can't go to that territory because he is a married man with a child. You can't go to that territory, yet you feel that you have something so pure, so you know a thing that binds you both together. I think it was beautiful. Also, Jamie played a major role in making Frances strong. He gave her this mantra of no fear, Margaret. I think it was beautiful. I enjoyed that time of Jamie and Francis collaboration to say. And that happened. One thing happened with me when going through this book during the time when the news of Finley, her brother, being no more. I thought maybe he is not dead, because you have not got any pieces of him, of his dead body. So I always had that thing back of my mind that he might not be dead. She might find him when she's in Vietnam. What a wistful thinking. But nonetheless, that was the same feeling I got when Jamie was injured. And I really thought Jamie was not dead. I really, really, really thought Jamie was not dead. Yeah, I thought he would not make any connections with her or anything like that, but I knew more surely than that of Finlay that he would not be dead. I think that Jamie's and Frankie's relationship was important, whether it was professionalism or that feeling of being safe with him. That what feeling you are getting, very new feelings of love. That was really really nice. And then the other man, Rai, he played, I think, a very very critical role in her life. But I must say, I hated Rai. I really hated Rai. His betrayal made me feel, is there really love in this world? Oh my god, how can we differentiate between a man who really loves you or who just pretends to love you and who just have blindsided you of your love? it was heart wrenching when she learned about Rai's betrayal. But the initial phase in the part one itself, in I think the first chapter itself, when Rai says, Francis, this is 1960s and women can be heroes as well. I think he played a major role in making Francis more courageous. That is one part. And the other thing, what he did to her was, I think she was from a Catholic family, very conservative, where the war heroes are appreciated and women are thought of only as wife or daughter or a mother. I think she became more courageous with Rai than that what she had been with Jamie. I think that was also because she knew somewhere back in her head what she's feeling with Rai, at least initially, that was pure lust, or that was not something very pure. Yet she wanted to try, because living in Vietnam, don't know what can happen another moment. I think that the was playing important role in making Rai and Francis relationship work. And also Rai have manipulated her. Oh my god, he have told everyone there that he was engaged, and then when she was in her R&R, he told he broke off his engagement. So what was there to stop Francis from not going with him in any sort of relationship? So yeah, the manipulation was hell. And then after returning back to home, where she thought she would be warmly welcomed, and she will start a fresh life with Rai when he returns back after 25 days, and everything falls apart. Firstly, not being appreciated for her service, and Americans not knowing that there are really women as well in the Vietnam, working days and night. That was heartbreaking, the nightmares she have. And then the news of Rai being dead, which breaks her apart. I think there were so many things which happened to her after returning back to home, more than what happened to her in war, in my opinion. And after getting the news of Rai, within a few, I think after few times, when her father didn't appreciate, and when she had a huge fight with her girlfriends, Ethel and Barbs played a major role in keeping her sane. They were so selfless, so helpful with her. And she, when she lived in Virginia with them, I think she was able to compartmentalize her sorrow back of her mind. I think during those times she really didn't give thought to war and all those stuff. And when she returned back home, because her mother had got stroke, I think that was the time when her father and her relationship started to heal a bit. Not fully, surely, but bit by bit. I think they were healing. Dad and her, they were trying to heal. They were trying to understand each other's perspective. And then she meets this man, Henry, and you know, he was important in the story for me. I think he was one person who could see right through her. I think he loved her selflessly. I wished she could have ended, beautiful life with her, but again, that miscarriage of hers, and then breaking the relationship with Henry after knowing that Rai is not dead. In fact, he has a daughter and a wife back home, was heartbreaking. I could feel for Henry as well, because losing a child and your fiance in one day, God, you need to be really brave to face that. And again, the manipulation of Rai had no ends. He promised her that he is gonna divorce his wife and he's gonna start his fresh life with him, and she just believed. I think back of her mind somehow she knew that this is wrong, having affair with a married man is wrong. She could sense, I think, somehow that this is wrong, yet she couldn't stop her passion for him, that burning desire, hunger to be with him. I think that's why she was ready for that affair. But then one day in the hospital she comes to know this Rai not only is lying her, but also is just welcoming his baby boy. Whoa, what a scene, what a scene. That was gut wrenchingly hateful thing which I felt towards Rai. And then the government, the people, not when she went for medical helps, they just neglected her. They said there were no women in the war. Two times, freaking two times, she was rejected, to talk about, the trauma she felt during the war, and then the suicide she commits after that. And then how, Henry, helps her, the the research center for those veterans, helps her to work again, to start again. I think Henry just said, I think, beautiful lines around that. No matter, it was not important that you were going there to fight. It makes you no less, it makes your service no less that you were not there fighting with guns, you were in the hospital. It makes your traumas no less, because you can't measure traumas less. You were also there facing day after day the soldiers who were hurt, you know who were dying. Each day you had to tell themselves it's okay, there is family back home, you will be fine. When you in reality knew they were not fine, you need to see a woman giving birth to a child and child not being alive. You had to face a girl who was bleeding, and how you were taken by that small brother who even didn't know how to communicate with you, yet you helped him and he gave you a stone, which kept you, feeling that yes, humanity is still there. So your traumas is no less. And I think the book just showcased beautifully PTSD, in my opinion. And then the realization that she wants to not give up on this life. She wants to, find herself in quiet. She wants to just be alive again, away from what people think, what they do, and just coming to Montana and finding her life. It was beautiful for me. It really, really worked for me. And I think it was beautiful for me. The healing part was the highlight for me, and along with mm the how different men impacted her life. The love interest, the friendship that was important, along with the war. There are these beautiful lines told by Frankie herself, and I think that pretty much sums up her beautiful life. The line goes like this, you know, she had made some of the most momentous choices in her life before she had any idea of consequences. She had been thrust on her. Some had been expected, some had been impetus. She had decided to become a nurse at 17. She had joined the Army Nurse Corps and gone to war at 21. She had gone to Virginia with her friends to run away from home. And when her mother needed care, she had come home. In love, she had been too cautious for years and too impetuous. In retrospect, it all felt haphazard. Some good decisions, some bad, some experiences that she would never trade. When she had learned about life herself in Vietnam, and the friendships she had made were indelible. But now it was time to actually go in search of her life. I think these were the line, when she was going searching for a place where she wants to be, when she finally, found Montana. And also there is another. quote I really like, which I want to recite to you guys, which is, you know, life was like that, she guessed. It was all wrong until suddenly it was right. And you didn't really know how to react in either instance, but she knew love when she saw it, and it filled her. It was beautiful. And then, when after 10 years, there happens to be the appreciation for the people during the Vietnam War, the veterans, the appreciation for their work. I think during that time when her parents come there, and how her father expresses himself that you know when she returned back, he was sorry that he couldn't feel proud of her. The lines were even more beautiful. You think I feel guilty for urging my son to go to war? I do. It's a thing I live with. He swallowed hard. But I feel more guilt about how I treated my daughter when she came home. Oh, how the relationship have evolved, the beauty. It was masterful for me. And also, I don't want to neglect her and her mother's relationship. That also has grown over the years. When she was 17 or 20 years old, her mother would, tell her, be good, find a boyfriend, you are gonna end up as a wife or, a mother. And when she was going to when she was confessing that she wants to go to Vietnam, her mother saying, no, please don't go, please don't leave me. You don't belong there, you belong here with us at home. Anyhow, she went, and when she returned, and how her parents would not speak a single word about Vietnam, just her mom would talk about other random things, but not about her life in Vietnam. That was heartbreaking. And again, when she returned home back after her mother's stroke, their relationship evolved. They became, I think, more of friends. They started sharing more. I think she also appreciated her mom more. And then after losing her child, her mom was there with her again. The mom and daughter bonds are irreplaceable for me. I think that was so beautifully. And when her mom also narrates that she had lost her child before being married to her dad. And she says, okay, she understands her pain, she understands how she feels. I don't speak, that doesn't matter. I don't understand you, I understand you. I think it was beautiful. And how her mom made her dad understand what their daughter really wants. It was amazing for me. So this book was really wholesome for me. you know that said, if you are looking for a light read, this book isn't for you. It is intense, it is raw and really heartbreaking, but in the best possible ways. It makes you think, it makes you feel, and it sheds light on a part of history that hasn't been explored nearly enough in fiction. This book has, I think, major themes which are courage, sacrifice, identity, and I think also I would say how different person impact your life to shape who you are. And most of all, definitely without any question, is what it really means to be a hero. That is, I cannot forget, I think, that scene of the war heroes in her family, house, where all the her grandfather, her brother's photo was being highlighted there. And now finally she was also being appreciated for her work, so it was a win-win for me. So overall, this book, The Women, is a must read for historical fiction lovers, fan of strong female protagonist, or anyone interested in Vietnam War from a fresh perspective, especially from women, because the major plot of the book, I would say, is how women were neglected during, how women and their services was neglected during the war. They were not even spoken in the same time as they were talked sorry, is the Vietnam War. They were just neglected, being made feel invisible. That was gut wrenching. And well, yeah, I think it's very powerful, beautifully written, and will likely bring you to tears more than once. I think definitely worth your time and your next read. So, yeah, I loved it. But on the final notes, I'd like to say, if you are going to the book thinking, okay, we'll get only about whole book will be all about Vietnam War only, I think you'd be wrong in that. This book follows a women who have faced the realities of Vietnam War, and also her struggles after returning back home, when facing the real world, and the heartbreaks, the trauma, the pain, the growth as an individual, the love interest, the family dynamics, the role of women, and how they are made feel in the family and society as a whole. I think those were also the major themes of the book. So when you want to read this book, keep that thing in mind. It is historical fiction, no doubt, but it is women centric book, and we will be following her for 20 years. Oh yes, I really forgot to say. I think Jam is written in her life. Okay, it's a fiction. I really loved when they met in 1982 during the appreciation of the Vietnam veterans, and when he saw and he told her, remembering you got me through. It was really romantic, but I think it was also fine with her not being herself. I think at that point in time, because she had explored herself, she had learned what she was. But yeah, it was sweet to end the book with a touch of romance, you would say, touch of feeling that she is not alone now. At least she have a partner, who loves her, who will cherish her, and who will not betray her like Rai did. So yeah, loved it. So yeah, worth your time. Bye bye. See you in the next video. I think in which I'll be talking about maybe author's profile, something like that. I'm trying to do it. Let's see how it goes. Bye bye.